And we are good. Okay, good morning again, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our shared experience panel. We talk about the title as a shared experience panel because that's exactly what we're doing. And our panelists today are here to do exactly just that, share their experience and be able to apologize, guys. Joe, I wanted to make sure I fielded Joe in case he was calling and still having issues. So, but you know, it's exactly that, sharing your experiences in the industry and helping everyone understand that everyone has the same obstacles, everyone has the same highlights, everyone has the same successes. And together, when we share all of those, we realize that we truly are in this industry together and experiencing the same thing. So I'd like to start with introducing those who are here. We are here with Catherine Dossier. We are here with Christina Souza. Feel free to wave. Thank you, Kat. And Paul DeFalco. And again, Joe Capraro will join us shortly. So I appreciate, again, you guys making the time. And there are a lot of folks who have been talking about this when they saw the announcement go out and excited just at the diversity that we have here within our group with regard to, you know, experience in the industry, levels of production, and everything that comes along with it. So excited to get started. I would love to start with just an introduction of each of you. I'll ask each of you to introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, how long you've been in the business, and how you found real estate as a career. So we will start with Kat.
Hi, so I'm Catherine Dacier. I started in June of 2018, so a little bit over 2-year mark. And in the very beginning and even now, real estate has been fantastic for me. I feel like it's a natural progression from my long-term career as a bartender. And it just takes customer service and helping people to that next level. So that's, I think, the best part of it, the whole industry for me.
Awesome, thank you for that. And I also want to mention part of the reason you were invited to join us here. This is the launch of this series. It's the first of its kind that we're hosting here at HomeSmart. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Kat is the recipient of our 2019 Rising Star Award here at HomeSmart. And that award recognizes individuals who are newer to the industry and have excelled in production as well as education in their career in a very short period of time. So congratulations on that as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And Christina, please.
Yes, I am, team leader at Team Souza. I work with my partner / husband, and have grown it from just the two of us to, a few buyer's agents, and some supportive staff. I've been doing this for going on 4 years now. Got into it originally. We were buying our first multifamily, looking to purchase our second one. And just that experience as it was and where I was at in life. I was having knee surgery and out of work. Had always envisioned myself as a business owner, and real estate kind of just happened to be that business to start, and we took it from there. We went in, jumped in together, and have been enjoying it ever since.
Awesome. Yes, and you've done incredible with it. We're excited to have you here. You've been here at HomeSmart how long now?
I believe 2 years.
2 years now. And of course, again, I have to acknowledge Christina is the recipient of our Breakthrough Achievement Award for 2019. And that recognizes someone who has truly transformed their business in the industry. And when we look at Christina's growth trajectory from, working as, just a husband and wife team to growing a larger team, having some buyer agents working with you now, and all that comes with it, it's been exciting to witness that evolution for you. So I appreciate you being here. So that brings us to Paul DeFalco. Paul,
hello,
welcome.
everybody. Thank you, Dean. So again, my name is Paul DeFalco. I've been in different aspects of the real estate business for about 20 years. To give you a quick background on myself, I kind of have been a serial entrepreneur running different businesses and whatnot. But about 20 years ago, I owned a vending machine business, and I realized that I wasn't going to get a pension. I wasn't going to really get anything. So I decided to get into multifamilies. So about 20 years ago, I purchased my first multifamily, and then I bought a few more after that. So that was my first entrance into the real estate business. After that, I moved on, working on those buildings. I became pretty good at working on them, pulling permits. So I started a window replacement business. So for the last 20 years, I've done both. In 2016, I decided to get into the agent end of the business. So my very first year at HomeSmart was 2017, but very, very, very part-time. Just sold a few houses, sold a few multifamilies. Some friends of mine basically helped them purchase multifamilies. 2018, started spending more time with it and getting a feel for the business, still part-time, not really full-time. Then around 2019, I started to become a little more of my main focus because I could really see the business was growing. It was a great direction to go in. And I also love it. I enjoy the business. I really love it. So I then kind of really focused on that, and I was able to triple my GCI in 2018. And from 2019 and now, I would consider myself a full-time agent. And it's been very helpful to be full-time, to really, do all the different aspects of the business for me to succeed. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Awesome. And well done. Paul, you're one of those silent warriors in the industry. We see you only when you're dropping off a check or delivering closing paperwork or whatever that looks like. And I'm excited to say that Paul is the recipient of our Quantum Leap Award here at HomeSmart for 2019. And that award is given to someone who has achieved a record sales success productivity this year or that calendar year over the prior. And when Paul mentions 3 times his GCI, it's also literally 2.5 times the amount of production, the amount of units closed over the prior year. So you just, shot off like a rocket and took off and didn't stop. So, excited to see your growth as well. So, great stuff. Congrats. And again, welcome guys. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to start with some questions and I'm going to ask each of you to answer it because everyone can benefit from the details here. And I want you to share from the heart and from experience. Okay. So let's start. What do you feel contributed to your success in 2019? And have you, even more importantly, have you been able to continue that activity coming into 2020 with our continuously evolving market? So if I may, I'm going to start with Christina.
Yeah, I would say what, contributed to 2019, and what my partner told me I need to say is my husband, which he does, support the team in a sense of that sales side of things, which allowed me to focus on what it is I do in my role. And I truly do think that the biggest contributor is the processes and checklists that I've worked diligently hours on, really just compiling my experience over the years and how to just be better and make sure nothing slips through the cracks on anything so that the clients are just always getting that 100% great service and experience that we want to be giving to them. And it allows me to make sure that everybody is aware of what they need to be doing, and it keeps people from slacking, and then there's accountability too, which is, one of the biggest issues I feel like being a realtor is holding yourself accountable. So to have that written down in format is nice to follow. And we have been able to continue that into 2020. For me, being a team leader, it also allowed me to look at, the business from beginning to end when working with somebody and pinpoint exactly what those tasks are that I can delegate and hire out so that I'm leveraging my time better. And, that shows, and we took on a transaction coordinator. We're currently training and hired an assistant. So definitely allowed us to really think of the business as a whole and not just, who am I closing this month?
Awesome, well said. And what I love especially is you talked about checklists and having a game plan and having methodologies. We've shared conversation about checklists, and I'm a checklist guy as well. And ultimately, if you don't have a way to track the activities you're doing and how you're doing it, then you're going to go off course. So so checklists are so important to hold yourself accountable to making sure you've accomplished something. How many times do we feel at the end of the day that we had such a busy day, but we really don't feel like we accomplished anything, or even worse, we never get to anything on our to-do list? So checklists can definitely help with that. So thank you. Kat, same question for you.
The pressure's on.
Yes.
So I think when I first started in 2018, I'm going to go back to that because I feel like I've been in the business only for such a short amount of time that it all kind of snowballed for me. As I was going through my real estate classes and working full-time at Twin River, I was always telling my customers, I'm going to get my real estate license soon. I'm ready and excited. I can't wait. And I think my excitement for getting into real estate rubbed off on everybody around me. And I just started having clients right off the bat. I think I had my first client. It was like the day I got my license, I was already under contract 4 days later or 5 days later, something like that. And that kind of enthusiasm it really propelled my 2019. Just constantly being in contact with my current, past, and present clients, and always calling them and not asking them really for business, asking them for business, but more checking in on them and just making sure that they're okay. I have been, hi, Joe. I have been just constantly in contact with them. And I think my past clients have felt my my honesty and my care for them and their house and the process. And that what has given me a lot of referrals, which I'm so very grateful for.
Awesome.
And 2019 was great for that. That was definitely the kickstart.
Awesome. And so have you been able to continue that going into 2020? How has that been going into this year?
So the referrals are still coming in, and I have many buyer clients, but 2020 has been extremely challenging for me. Out of 6 buyer clients, I don't have anyone under contract. We can't find properties. It's not because they're not qualified. It's not because their offers aren't great. I've definitely had to learn really new and creative ways to word offers and cover letters and different things that we can do trying to get these really wonderful people under contract. But there's just no inventory. I know everybody's really experiencing that, and it's kind of hitting hard for me, especially being a buyer's agent predominantly right now.
Yes.
It's been tough. And then I had a couple losses on the listing side, which I was really excited for because I don't have a lot of those. And unfortunately, believe it or not, Twin River was what gave me the boot. So I've had to kind of come up with creative ways of combating the no. So I've been doing some research and kind of going over past classes that I've been in about, how to face adversity. Right, I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean.
Adversity, yep.
And how to combat the no. So yeah. That's what I've been working on in 2020.
Yes, no, and I appreciate that honesty because everyone's experiencing something different with the way the market shifts, right? Mm-hmm. And especially if you're working predominantly with buyers are struggling to find things, low inventory, multiple offers, and what have you. And I appreciate you sharing that from the heart because there are others that are struggling. There are many practitioners that are saying, "Oh my God, it's so busy! I can't believe it! I've got so many transactions coming together," and it doesn't feel so good to hear that. Some people think that's motivating, right? So when you're struggling to get things together and others are succeeding in getting them together, it can be a little overwhelming, But like anything, that will pass, and at some point things are going to start coming together, and then you're going to regret what you wished for, and that's being busy again, and being busy in busyness, not, you know, in business, not busyness, you know, because right now you're stuck in busyness, you know.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that from the heart, because others are feeling the same thing. It's not that you're not out there going after it. It's that the conditions out there are not making it easy for you to get those folks into contract. And when you say, you know, you mentioned Twin River, and you know, and ultimately there are folks that are concerned, if you're at Twin River,
Yeah.
that you're coming into contact with too many people. And while I know that you're taking any precaution, if you are still working there, you know, everybody's got a different perspective on it, right? And everybody's perspective is real to them when it comes to this pandemic and how they navigate it. So a question did come in though for you, Kat. So if you don't mind, while I'm here with you,
Sure.
you know, you mentioned starting out, you were working and you were telling people you were getting into real estate, I'm getting my license. And the question that came in is, you know, how did people respond to that? How do people respond that you have another job? And you know, we always say you never part-time in real estate, because there are folks that are working another job that sometimes work more hours than some people that claim to be full-time. You know, we lovingly say, just because you don't have another job doesn't make you full-time in real estate. There, you know, so, and I know you in particular work a lot of hours in real estate regardless of the other job. How do your contacts respond to that when they meet you at that other job? Do they hold that against you?
Well, up until recently, no. I've always been extremely honest. I'm a horrible liar. So I find that honesty is the best policy, and my clients really respond to that. So from the very beginning, I tell them about my family, how I have, you know, a few kids, and how I do work 4 to 5 nights at Twin River. But I also explain to them that I'm always available via email or text. And if they don't get me on the phone right away, to leave me a text message if it's an emergency, and I will find time to call them back. So really, even though I'm at Twin River or working that other job, there's never a time where I'm out of touch or out of reach. And I feel like my clients, as soon as that first Tuesday night comes where they know 5 o'clock, Kat's at work, and at 5:35, they're already messaging me and I'm responding to them right away. They see right away that, you know, it's not going to be an issue.
Awesome.
With the Corona pandemic, that has been the only struggle that I've really had, is concern over, like you said, tenants. One owner was very worried that their tenants would contract the coronavirus because of me. So,
right. And again, that fear is real to them, right? You know,
yes,
and what I like most about what you said is just the honesty. I mean, you know, if a client meets you at your other job, then there's no pretending you don't have another job. But
exactly.
even if somebody asks you, I mean, ultimately it's about being available. And that's why I even said, you know, having another job doesn't make you less than full-time. You know, someone like you works many hours regardless of your family requirements, and you know, you're very much available, and that's really what consumers want, isn't it? And if you're not available, then you have the ability to have someone available to assist you, to help you leverage your time. So awesome. Thanks for sharing. So I didn't want to interrupt that flow. Joe, welcome. We appreciate you being here. Sorry you had technical difficulties, but we appreciate you being here. You know, I'm going to reiterate the question for Paul. We're going to go to Paul with this question and reiterate it so that Joe knows the question that we're on. You know, and that is, you know, what do you feel contributed to your success in 2019? And have you been able to continue those efforts, those duties through 2020?
Yes, that is a great question. So I think everyone's experience in this business is a little bit different. I can definitely tell you from my personal, you know, goals and what I try to do every day when I wake up in the morning is definitely with this business, you just have to spend a lot of time in it. You know, like you mentioned, you have to spend full-time time into it. You can have 2 jobs, but you've got to really spend time and commit yourself to this business. You know, if you really want to succeed, you just can't dabble in it. So, you know, pretty much I've done nothing but like eat, think, and learn the business. So in my mind, it's a business, not a job. And I run it that way. I love helping people and I enjoy the business. So personally, I've watched hundreds of real estate training videos. sales videos, marketing books, seminars. I subscribe to a lot of YouTube real estate channels. And all I think about is ways to serve my clients better and scale my business. So that's really where I've been at this whole time. So, and that's why I've been able to just continually improve and grow this whole time.
Awesome. Great. No, and I appreciate that. And I love the way you said that you're constantly looking for new opportunities as an entrepreneur. I think that's incredible. A comment came through saying, yes, treat it like a business. And that, just emphasizing what you said, so many people think that in real estate, we're in sales, and we're not in sales. We're in business. You are running and building a career. You're running a business that happens to be working with buyers and sellers of real estate, but that doesn't make us salespeople, So I appreciate that you said that and someone expanded on that as well. It's just a really great point. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, I want to, introduce Joe Caprara. Thank you for being here. We're sorry again that you had technical difficulty. But, Joe, if you don't mind, we'd love for you to answer the question and just tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been in real estate, and why you chose real estate.
Okay. I've been in about 11 years. It'll be 11 years at the end of this year. I was in corporate America with no control of my future, and I thought real estate was a good fit. It was my own business and could have more control of my longevity and my work. And to answer the question, 2019 was great. And I think the success in 2019 was just the fact that I was in the business for so many years, and there's no substitute for having years in the business and past clients calling you after they've lived in a house for a few years and they want to sell and buy. And I did a few of those in 2019. I think that, following up with everyone. And then as we transition into 2020, still I have that great past clients and keep going along, following the steps that we all know about getting clients and running our business and following up with people. And 2020 is definitely a little more challenging, especially on the buyer's side. We all have buyers who have put in many offers and still over asking, waiving inspections, and still not getting properties. But, you do the best you can and keep the trickiest part in 2020 is keeping those buyers engaged and telling them that they're in the same boat as everyone else. I think we're dealing with people who I used to go into a store and grabbing whatever they want and choosing from multiple items, and very easy to get whatever they want. And then all of a sudden they want a house and we got to compete with people. And I want this house at this price. How come I can't get it? Well, the market is in charge. So
Yes.
that's
It's a brave new world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. So what you're saying is that, because, you have the longest tenure in the industry, within our group, what you're saying is keep in touch with your past clients. What does that look like?
so
And or sphere of influence, I guess.
right. Sphere of influence. Yep. So sphere of influence and past clients. I do follow Brian Buffini. I can't say I'm 100% like every 10 calls a day, but definitely twice a year, usually something in the summer and something around the holidays. I do a pop by, and definitely email contacts throughout the year, and a mailing, or at least a mailing or two throughout the year.
Yep.
That's the like not 100%, but definitely do that. And the other point, in fact, Christina brought it up in class yesterday. The more you do it, you get rid of the people, you keep people on your list that you like to talk to. There's no more, the people who give you a hard time, or people who don't respect what a realtor does for them, they're not on my list anymore. So it's, my list is people I like.
And that makes it so much easier to talk to them, doesn't it? And let's be honest, everyone dreads picking up the phone. I haven't met anybody who loves picking up the phone and prospecting. They love the feeling of achievement when it's done and when it results in an activity, a listing call or, a buyer lead. But But at the end of the day, nobody wants to prospect. You know, it is not easy, and it's just a matter of just doing it. So if you're focusing on Sphere, and I threw Sphere in there because, you know, people new to the industry don't have those past clients. So when we say keep in touch with past clients, like, yeah, that's great. If I had some, I would call them. You know, you're going to be amazed at how difficult it is to call them. You know, you're not going to call them as easily because you're going to hate picking up the phone. So stay in touch with people that you like and that you enjoyed working with. If people, you know, didn't allow you to feel that you made an impact in their world or do in their personal lives, you know, then, you know, maybe you email them, you know, but, you know,
If
but
you text them. Today, people text.
or text them. Yes, exactly. Yes. You know, there are different ways to keep in touch with folks. So, you know, I appreciate you sharing that. And of course, I also want to provide accolades because I've mentioned, you know, everyone's achievements who's on the panel. And Joe in 2019 was our #3 individual producer in both units and volume, with 29 transactions closed and over 7 million in production. So congratulations, Joe. You know, I've personally witnessed your growth in the industry from day one. So, you know, excited to see you where you are today. So
Thank you.
thanks for being here. So does any panelist have any questions for the other panelists with anything they said? Because we'll go right to the next question. And again, anybody tuning in, you know, we have our viewing audience. Please pass along any questions. We will share them with the group as well. Okay. So then I'd like to go with the next question. And that is, so where does your business come from? Now, you know, you somewhat answered this, but let's be a little bit more specific. And how does each of the others, you know, keep in touch with those sources? Because Joe talked specifically about some of the things he's doing. So it led right into this question. So, you know, I will ask Paul first, just to keep y'all on your toes.
All right. So again, I think this is a great question, and I really feel like this might be a very important question to anyone watching these videos, because if you don't have business coming in, you're dead in the water. So I look at it, I have a multi-pronged approach. I call it the triple play. So my 3 are my warm market. That's, you know, prong number 1. Prong number 2 is my advertising, leads that come in from different forms of advertising that I do. And then the 3rd, which is the gold, is referrals. So, you know, I'm lucky I know a lot of people in a lot of industries and circles, and I've gotten a few inquiries through that, but realistically, most of them have really been warm market, people, close friends and family. So I haven't had like a random business owner call me up and say, hey, Paul, I want to list my house. So the people that are kind of removed haven't really, they're tougher to get. But warm market, friends, family, those people go right to you.
And those are easier to convert, aren't they, Paul?
Yes.
You know, if somebody knows you, likes you, and trusts you, chances are they're just going to go with you because that trust is already there. You know?
Yes.
So many times we get into real estate and people say you need to go out and cold call, you need to go knock on doors, you need to call for sale by owners and expireds. These are all people that you don't even know, you know? So if they don't even know you, how are they going to trust you? They might not even like you. But, you know, and some of our friends may not even like us, but they might trust us. But, you know, so the key is that, you know, stay in touch with those you know. The best way to build a business is through your sphere of influence. So, you know, great points. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kat.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I think working at Twin River, obviously, it has been a giant catapult for me as far as my sphere. Being out and being able to hand out my business cards constantly and to people that already know and trust me, like you said. And then aside from that, I use different marketing techniques and to pull leads from different online sources, as well as some mailers. But I mean, that's really it. Most of my business comes from my sphere.
Makes sense. And that's the focus, isn't it? You know, again, like we're saying, you know, that is the best place to focus. So Awesome. Christina.
So a big part of business comes from my partner because he's prior military, former Marine. So we do a lot of work with veterans because of his connections with that. We do a lot with SOI. I always like to point out to people though, like that's not like warm SOI for us. Like when we got into real estate, I think we could name like 30 people that really like kind of supported us in this, adventure. So it was really just reconnecting with people that we knew that were more like acquaintances and building that relationship up to now being like, yes, that's like really close SOI that has converted into business. And, learning early on how to ask for referrals because we, even though we've grown up in Rhode Island our whole lives, and it's a small state, everybody knows everybody. We just didn't really know a lot of people. So it was really just being out in the community, like holding open houses whenever possible to meet people, reaching out to different businesses like lenders, attorneys, and networking to make connections there and really just meet however many people we could and then really maintain those relationships so it could blossom and nurture it so that it would then eventually bring business down the line, which was very positive for us. We saw a lot of good outcome from that. We stay in touch with people through postcards. I'm big on mailers, sending thank you cards, handwritten cards. And another big source I would say, which is, great, is the convenience of Facebook. Because I don't need to, ask someone I haven't talked to in a few years, hey, can I get your phone number and your mailing address? I'd like to start now calling you because I'm a realtor. It's, just having nice, honest, candid conversation with people to reconnect via Facebook. It's, more secure that way. Like you don't feel as vulnerable as a realtor starting out. But I have been able to build relationships that way and have that lead to business more than I ever thought it would. I think a lot of people think Facebook, it must be ads, paying for advertisement. We were dead broke with a newborn when we got started. We had literally no money to put into such a thing. So we had to think outside the box. And again, that's why our push was always for meeting people and just being in the community and just making connections with people that way, the, old school way, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Now, and Joe, you kind of led that question, with mentioning Buffini and the Buffini programs. Christina, you're in the Buffini. Had you taken Buffini or Paul? Paul, you hadn't taken Buffini yet, right?
I haven't.
No. Okay. So a general question came in, and I'd love for each of you to share. And that is, so Buffini was mentioned. Is there another program out there? What other programs, whether it's real estate or any other, that you feel would be a great resource to any of our viewing audience? Anyone want to share?
I'll be happy to.
Please.
So a great resource for me has been YouTube. I know it might sound silly, but there are a lot of real estate experts out there in a lot of fields, and they cover investing, they cover sales, they cover Facebook marketing, they cover Google marketing, they cover SEO for your website, everything. If you want to chase FSBO, there is so much information out there that's available. You just have to dig in and subscribe to these different people, and you wouldn't believe the amount of things you can learn for free. You just have to take the time and just grab a coffee and sit down and watch these videos and absorb them. And you'll find certain people that resonate with you. And every time you watch a video, you get one extra little nugget that you can put forth into your business that helps. So me, it's been great.
And I appreciate you sharing that because, it does sound like the simplest fix, right? YouTube. Any of the speakers that anybody can even mention have YouTube videos out there. So in YouTube, you can find whatever it is you want and you can focus in on it. We always say, and we provide our educational content here at HomeSmart, but at the same time, we feel that everybody learns in a different way. Everyone learns and gets perspective differently depending on the source. So it's a classic example of why we started this series with being, with being a shared experience panel, because everybody's got different experiences and somebody's going to gravitate to any one thing that each of you share and take something away from it. So it's not always about having the same person teach the different subjects. It's about learning the perspective of each subject from different sources and taking away the components and the portions that resonate with you. So I think that's awesome. To your point, you can find different educators out there, different coaches, people who are just sharing experience, top producers, experienced producers, beginners in the industry. That's why we're sharing experience here. It's not truly focused just on top producers, because there are a lot of folks that want to be a top producer. There are a lot of folks that didn't get into real estate to be a top producer, but they want to learn it the right way and they want to do great business. So regardless of your goals in this industry, you can find an educator or a coach or a program that will resonate with you. So, great, simple, straightforward response. It's like, how much more laser focus can you get with that, right? So thank you for that. Anybody have anyone in particular that they've listened to outside of that, or somebody they can find in YouTube? Christina.
The first person that comes to mind is Tom Ferry. Watching his videos when we first got into things, he's really he gives a lot of really good advice, and he has videos that he's actually doing the calls or the scripts himself, and just the energy behind his videos. I personally really gravitated towards and just took notes on.
Yes.
And even if you go into watching a video and you're like, oh, it's probably going to be silly, whatever, you just got to put yourself in that mindset of just think real estate. I started listening to podcasts, and of course I like staying on the topic of real estate, but it's not always just real estate. Business owners are in any industry. So I started listening to podcasts of different entrepreneurs that have, really emerged over the last, decade, and just hearing their story and how they started, and really just using that to then reflect in my own. And then again, what's helped is, it's not a coach or anything, just a tool that we've used, is the fact that I, started with my husband in role playing. I think a lot of people downplay the benefits of role playing, but being able to say your scripts after you've watched somebody else do it and you've learned it, saying it out loud is extremely helpful. And just practicing it until it becomes, muscle memory.
Great point, because the more you say something, the easier it is to say it. And every time you say it the wrong way is the last time you're going to say it that way. So, practice makes perfect, and don't worry about it. Even just to expand on that, don't worry about it even when you're speaking with a client. It's like you're going to say something wrong the first time. It's okay. It's just recover and move forward. Next time you'll remember how you said it. So, that's awesome. Practice makes perfect. Kat, anything to share? Any speakers you're following?
I'm not following any speakers, but because I have had a little extra time on my hands these past few months, I've been shadowing some other industry professionals. So I have a bunch of different friends that are in appraisal and lenders, and I have been kind of shadowing. So I went and shadowed an appraiser, put in a few reports, and I learned a lot about that aspect of it to maybe up my pricing. And I did the same with a good lender friend of mine, sat down and just kind of shadowed her for the day just to see the other side of things to help my business that way.
Perfect. Actually, I love hearing that, because ultimately, anything we do in real estate is experiential learning, right? Mm-hmm. So to understand all facets of it and to actually shadow and see what's happening on the other side helps us on our side be able to navigate it. So, good for you. That's awesome. Now, Joe, I know you mentioned Buffini and you brought that up. Is there someone else you want to share?
Yeah, well, the other thing I'd share is, you should be hungry and you should always be looking for other things. I like the entrepreneurial podcast as well. But we're also, I'll throw a plug in for the book club. HomeSmart has the book club, and, it's a great resource for different books that are kind of, business themed, but, success themed. So that's been great too. And it gets you out of, maybe out of the real estate a little bit, but still being an entrepreneur and a boss. rather than just an agent.
Great point, because ultimately learning just compounds your knowledge, right? So in the book club, a great shout out to Josh West, our career experience leader, who leads our book club and also helped us create this session here today. So shout out for Josh. And the books are not only real estate related books, and if anybody's interested and hasn't yet joined the book club, check in with Josh to see when the next one starts. But
We just started.
yeah, expand the mind. I think that's great. And I'll also just add in motivational videos. Everyone knows how I feel about motivational videos and how that motivation is so important to the psyche. You got to get yourself set up for success every day. So whatever it is, just listen to something in the background and, just take something away from it at every turn. So great. Anyone else? Anything else to share? So great question for all of you. We do have actually, I believe we may have had a question come in. Do we have any questions that came in?
Any tools or software you can't live without?
Okay. So, a question that came in is, are there any tools or software out there that you feel you can't live without in your career? Paul, I see you nodding.
I'll be happy to answer that one.
Jump in. Yep.
Thank God for software and tools. Number one in my life, Google Calendar.
Yes. I was gonna say
That's a lifesaver.
Excellent.
My whole life runs by my Google Calendar. All my appointments are in there. Anytime I've got a listing, I automatically put in my inspection date, contingency date, my mortgage contingency date, and my closing date. And then all my daily appointments are all in there, including this was in my calendar today too. And you get reminders. So
We appreciate that too, Paul.
Google Calendar, definitely. On the technical side, I happen to use Follow Up Boss, which is a great drip tool for email marketing. Since I do a lot of advertising, you get a lot of leads. You just can't do it on a spreadsheet.
Yep.
You need a tool that's going to do it. It's not cheap, but if you're spending money on advertising, you got to spend a little more on a tool that's going to help you, get the maximum value of those leads.
Yeah,
So it's
keep
about speed.
yourself organized and
Yes.
keep that funnel loaded. And and absolutely. And any investment is an investment in your business. No one in the industry should be nickel and diming what they do to build a business. It's if somebody was opening a storefront, they're not going to say, oh, I can't get clothing racks because they're too expensive. So what are you going to do? Put the clothes on the floor? So there are certain aspects of business that you just have to have the actual tools. A carpenter isn't going to show up at the job without tools to get the job done because he didn't want to spend the money on a hammer. So it's so important that you look at it that way. This is an investment in your business. And if you're not looking at your business as a business, then it's time to rethink. So I think, I appreciate you sharing that. One thing I'll add just as a point, and you may do this and just didn't expand on it, but in the Google Calendar, when you're setting up your dates, by the way, even if somebody just uses an average day timer and writes it out on their calendar in front of them, still put those dates in. But just a quick suggestion, whatever those dates are, those deadlines, you should also put a reminder in a few days ahead of that deadline, because you don't want to be remembering a financing date on the date of the financing date, so you probably do that, but I just want to add that, for the benefit of everyone. Anyone else, what tools or software are you using that you can't live without?
Just to elaborate a little on the Google Calendar, because we recently have, I'd say the last 6 months, started taking it even a step further, is all clients, whenever there's something that we're meeting a client, consultation, whatever it might be, we send them the invite right to our Google Calendar, appointment time, so that if you have to edit any time changes or anything, they automatically get the notification through that. Anytime we have a showing, if we're working with a buyer, when we schedule it in for ourselves in our Google Calendar, we send them the invite so that they have it too. We also, you can put the address right in. I mean, even if you know where you're driving nowadays, it's like everybody still puts it in their map on their phone,
Right.
So now you can just go right into the Google task, whatever it might be, and the address is right there for your showing. Really just to try to take that next step of how can we simplify this entire process for our clients, and really just give them that wow factor. It seems like small things, but we feel like, when it adding up, gives a better impression and a better experience overall. So we love Google Calendar.
And we talk about the expenses of tools in our businesses. Google Calendar costs you how much every month?
It's free, yeah.
And those are the most simplest things we lose sight of, is taking advantage of those things that cost the least or don't cost anything at all.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anything else to share?
I just share, besides that, for my CMAs lately, I've kind of tried all different programs and I'm back to MLS. I've been using just the good old CMA and MLS, and, setting people up on searches through MLS. I mean, it's still, we get it. We have to have it. So, it's changed, and I use that more than anything now. Regular, good old fashioned MLS.
And that's something that you're already a member of and need to be a member of as a Realtor member and a member of the National Association of Realtors. So, you're forced to be part of it already. You're paying for it every month. Why not give it a shot and utilize the tools that are in it?
Yeah. The CMAs are really nice. Like, and once you set up with all your personal information, they come out really great and professional, emailable, printable.
I'd say another thing too is electronic signing software.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Instant Authentisign, but boy, is that nice.
Yes, and there are a number of e-signature programs out there, and again, that's something that's personal to everyone involved. So depending on what you feel comfortable with, whether it's .loop, whether it's Authentisign, anything like that. So, yeah, great. So a question did come in, unless there's something anyone else has to share. Did we cover everything?
Just
Kat?
real quick, I know there are a lot of newer agents out there that might not know a bunch of different online software tools. And like everybody said, everybody just mentioned basic things that we all have. I personally have been spending my time getting to know all those softwares. So really going into MLS and looking at all the little things that I can do that I didn't know I could do on there. And setting up my all my contacts in there, making sure my Google Calendar was right, and just kind of learning the ins and outs of all the software that we already have. I mean, that's what I've personally been spending a good chunk of time digging into, because now I have a little bit of time.
No, and that's great. And that's well said. You're investing the time that you have. The hard part is when we might not be as busy as we want to be, we find ourselves doing something else rather than actually scheduling your time like a business person to do the details that need to be done, like learning software, implementing things. Are you going to wait to learn things like that until you're busy again and you don't have time to do it? Then you're going to fumble through it and get frustrated. Everyone's time should be scheduled to invest into your business. We always say the blessing of the curse of being self-employed. You're self-employed, you are your own boss. Well, you are also your own employee. So your boss has to hold your own employee accountable to doing the tasks that are going to make that boss successful in that business. So, you have to balance each of it. So thank you for that. A question came in with regard to what are you guys doing with regard to social media marketing? Is any of you using video? What does that look like? Can anyone share what they're doing in that regard, and your feelings about social media marketing and videos? Who would like to start?
I will.
Oh, go ahead. You're shy. I love it.
So my social media marketing right out of the gate, obviously, is my Facebook page. So I have about 1,000 people on my friend list. So right on my main page, my main banner is real estate. So when anyone goes to my page, they know I'm in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So buying, selling, call Paul. Right there in your face, you go to my page.
Awesome. Yeah, you can't afford to be a secret agent, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So
are you doing video at all? How are you utilizing your social marketing to
so
the best it
anytime
could
I
be?
get a listing, anytime I have a listing, I put it right out there. There's a way you can do it where you set up a business page on Facebook, and you can share that listing on your personal page. So you share it, and then people can share it to other people. And then, when you sell a house, you put that. So you constantly want to let people know you're in the business. You need to stay top of mind. This whole business is top of mind. Everything. Rhode Island has 1 million people in it. Everybody's relative knows a cousin or a neighbor who's an agent, but you want them to call you.
Right.
You be the expert. You got to get them to say, you know what, I'm going to call Paul because Paul is listing, he's selling, he's showing everything. I'm not going to call my cousin or my neighbor. It's not easy to do. So that's free. And then of course, Google, you can also pay to boost your ads, and you can also do advertising on on Facebook rather, sorry.
Yep.
So you boost your Facebook ads.
Yes, and that really helps. In the boosting, it's just a nominal investment. What I like, especially about what you said, was your business page versus your personal page. Social media is just that, right? Social. You need to be social. If you're going to post something and people are going to comment, you need to interact with them. You don't just post a listing and run away from Facebook and do something else. You have to engage your audience. That's why people are there. There is a happy balance with business page versus personal page. So I loved what you said, where you'll post it on your business page, but you'll share it from that page to your personal page. So you're sharing it with your friends, but you're posting it as a professional. That also leads people to see that you have a business page, and they can go like that business page. So now they're following both. But you don't want everything, to be social and personal and personal photos and things you're doing, and then in between is just a photo of a listing, and then everything else is I just went out to lunch and all of these things, and oh, here's another listing. It disrupts the flow of everything you want to do. You need to find that happy balance. But people do want to see who you are as a person, and don't think for a second that people are not going to your Facebook page when they are going to interview you for a listing or work with you as a buyer. Just like you are doing the same. So, great points. Anyone else have any other points with Facebook and or video?
Yeah, we've done, various different videos. Anytime we had an open house, there's plenty of videos we will post to our Instagram account, which is separate from our personal Instagram accounts. We've got one specific for, our team Souza, and, just walking through the property. Any questions that come up that we think are overlooked a lot or needs a lot more light shed on it just within the industry, we like to post up just to give insight to anybody who might watch, maybe the 10 viewers that happen to come across it, who knows. But, social media, I've seen the value there, absolutely. It is one of those things that when you have the available time, you can, do all these creative things with it. And then once you get busy, it's like the first thing that falls by the wayside. And it's just one more thing, I think, as realtors that people say you need to do this. And, there's like a list of 1,000 different things that you need to make sure you stay on top of when you're a realtor, if you're going to be successful, and you just pull out your hair because nobody can stay and do all those things. But yeah, I do see the benefits in it. Even for myself as like a new agent, and even where I am today, I like using it to then check out other agents that are where I want to be, because I'm still not at my finish goal yet. And just making connections with people that way, people on the West Coast that I never would be able to meet because I live in Rhode Island, but we can connect through social media, Rob's connections with military. We've helped a lot of people relocate. We've also helped a lot of people sell their homes in Rhode Island that are relocating out of state. So it's just nice to kind of make connections with other realtors in other areas, because you never know when you might be able to send a referral, receive a referral that way too. I don't always just look at it as, the people that follow me, I need to try to get them to buy or sell a home. And even our approach in what we post is never salesy. We post all of our solds, our offers accepted, so people know, like, yes, we're doing the actual business, But I think, just our personal approaches. We're not salesy, you know. Yes, it's a seller's market. I don't need to beat into people's heads like, oh, you need to call me now if you've ever thought of selling your home. We need to sit like it, you know, the time is now, the market's hot, fire sign, like all these things, you know. I think people respond better too, you know, because you're just kind of coming across to them like, hey, you know, we've got some knowledge, we'd love to share it with you. Here's some, you know, little pieces. Hopefully you find value in them now, and then when you're ready, like Paul was saying, we stay top of mind that way, and we're the ones they want to call when they're ready to take that step, whenever the timeline for them might come into place.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. I want to hop on one of the points you said where you're posting some of your successes. You know, there are a lot of folks out there that are posting their successes. It really matters how you do it. The consumers don't want to hear, hey, I just had 3 closings today. I just had 4 closings today. You know, they don't want to hear that. You need to speak about the people. You know, I was excited to work with you know, Bob and Sue on the purchase of their new home, wishing them all the best. Maybe there's even a picture of Bob and Sue and the home, or just the home itself. You know, happy for my seller client who just closed on, you know, such and such. You know, talk about the success of the individuals. Those are the folks we're serving. You know, and when you talk about just how many closings you had, you know, I mean, we recognize sales success, you know, just like we talked with, you know, with what Joe has accomplished in his career, you know, just last year alone. But it's not about how many sales you make. It's about how many clients you served. And you need to shift your language to do that. And I loved how you said that, where you're recognizing your client's success on social media. If you've already become friends with them, by the way, you should, when you start working with them, you're able to tag them. You know, they're going to tag their friends. They're going to share this to their profiles. So make it about their success, because it's all about them. If it's all about your success, they're not going to share it. You know, if you post, I had 3 closings today, your client's not going to tag it and say, hey, I was one of these. But if you post about them and how successful they are and how they accomplish their goal, then they're going to share that, and that share will include you in the process. So, you know, I love that you shared that. Anyone else? Kat, Joe, what are you doing on social media?
Trying to do a balance of, you know, some social things as well as real estate things to kind of keep people. I do like Paul does too. When I post a real estate thing, I post it on my business page, share it to my personal page. I think, you know, it is a balance. I think you made a really good point of making it more personal rather than, you know, one of these, just, you know, another one sold, another one sold.
Look at me, rah, 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 look at me.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I think it's another tool to keeping things top of mind. You know, when I think a lot of realtors, like we all talk a lot about where our leads come, getting a lead from social media. I think the difference between using it, like, you know, just to get yourself out there. The other thing is you got to listen and follow up with people, because we have leads coming to us from all different directions. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know, you overhear a relative say, oh, I'm thinking about selling my house, and you never touch that person, never talk to that person. And all of a sudden you find out they sold their house, you know, and you're like, wait, you know, so if you don't, you know, if you hear somebody wants to sell a house, you better touch them within the next couple of days about what you think the value is, or that lead just came and left.
Yes, when people decide they're ready, they are truly ready. They're not just beginning that process. They reach out to you as a professional when they've already gone through the thought process of everything they needed to realize or actualize for themselves in that process before they've even reached out to you. So if somebody raises their hand and says, hey, I'm thinking of selling, they're really saying, I've thought of selling. I'm ready. So if you're going to go do a market analysis and have a seller interview with folks, know that if you're going back as a follow-up with the pricing, that it needs to be within a day or two. Don't schedule for next week. They are ready. They didn't call you to get your opinion on whether or not they should be ready. They called you because they are. So don't fool yourself into thinking you're their only option. You know, so, you know, key point, you know, stay on top of them. Don't leave their home or that phone call without an appointment scheduled. You need to have that next appointment scheduled. It's harder for them to cancel than it is for you to, than for you to try and get an appointment. It's going to be harder for you to get that follow-up appointment if you're calling to make it. So, and I think it's important that we also look at, something that Christina had said, when you start getting busy and all of a sudden you stop doing the things that got you busy. We've all seen that, right? And that's where we say we're in busyness, not business. We know it as the peaks and valleys of real estate. We do all of the things we need to do to generate that business, whether it's prospecting, whether it's pop buys, whether it's keeping in touch, whatever that is, the social media marketing and the boosting the posts and all of that. We're doing all of that stuff. And then we get the phone call and we go and we get that listing. And we get entrenched in the listing details and trying to get the photos, trying to do the virtual tour, trying to schedule the showings right now with all of the details that come into play, all of those things. And we stop doing all the things that got us that listing to begin with. So then the listing goes into pending. And yes, there are more details, but there are less details. And now we have to start marketing again. So we start doing it again and doing it again and doing it again and reaching out and prospect. Now we get another one. So we stop. So that's where the peaks and valleys happen, that vicious cycle in real estate. So you need to either continue to always do what you were doing, or you need to leverage yourself and hire someone to do it while you're handling the things that you do best. And that's important in this as well. So Kat, any final thoughts on social media or video or anything?
I don't do video, but I do a lot of direct messaging. So especially now, I've been reaching out to pretty much everybody in my contact list with a direct message in small groups, asking certain questions. How do they feel about real estate? Giving some little bits of advice or little real golden nuggets that I find from reliable sources, obviously, and sending it to them that way. And then that way it's more of like a one-on-one conversation instead of me posting something and hoping somebody is going to comment on it. I've had a little bit more success with the direct messaging aspect of it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great points. Appreciate that. So watching our Q&A, we had a couple of questions come in. So for the group, who would like to share? How do you choose the affiliates, the business partners that you work with in the other facets of the industry, whether it's appraisers, home inspectors, lenders, what have you? What's important to you in choosing the affiliates that you refer business to? We all know we should always have a few in each realm of the industry that we know we can rely on, as well as others. But how do you choose them? What's important to you in a relationship with the affiliates you're working with? Who would like to take that?
I could start with that one.
Please.
For me, learning who is a really good partner is definitely somebody who I can communicate well with, who my clients can communicate well with. Also somebody who has an extensive knowledge in that area. And when you're new, it's really hard to kind of weed out the good ones from the bad ones, and maybe I think they're fantastic, but maybe my clients don't communicate well with them. And so I've had to weed them out that way. I mean, I definitely look at the companies they work for, how long they've been in the business, and all around their communication skills, and as far as how often they're touching everybody. I know real estate, my clients are always really nervous. A lot of them are first-time home buyers or older and downsizing. And last time they bought or sold a house was, 40 years ago. So they don't remember. And it's like a whole new thing for them. So especially lenders in particular, having a lender that is really open and communicating every step of the way, every step of the process, that's the person that I'm going to choose for my clients. And obviously they need to do a good job.
Yes, they absolutely need to do a good job, for sure. And one of the points you said in all of that is, finding someone that they can communicate with, and personalities. They need to know what they're doing. They need to have, if it's a lender, they need to have the product line. If it's an inspector, they need to have the knowledge and the accreditation and now licensing. But at the end of the day, it's a theory of relativity. So whoever they're working with, they need to be able to relate to them. So whether it's age demographics, whether it's certain programs, whether it's certain interests, people enjoy working with people that they like, right? And that they can talk to. You know, if they're uncomfortable communicating with a loan officer, for example, that's one of the most personal experiences of anyone can go through in the buying process, is sharing everything about their finances, you know, good, the bad, and the ugly. You need to be comfortable with the person you're speaking with. So I think those are great points. Awesome. Thanks. Anyone else?
I'd like to add on that too, that, you know, we do match up personalities, but I also say that the list is always changing too. Like I keep a Word document right on my desktop on my computer of, you know, my 3 or 4 lenders. And then when somebody asks, I'm like, okay, I think this person would go with this person. But I'm always, you know, sometimes I'm taking someone off if they didn't give me great service. And other times I'm find some new lender that was so great at communicating, I'll add them to the list, or a home inspector or whatever. But I keep a Word document on my desk. It's constantly changing. And, you know, communicators, people who do their job good, always go to the top.
Right. And that list on your computer is so that they can remain top of mind, right? How many of you start to think, oh, I have a buyer, who should I refer them to get started with the process? And you're sitting there wondering, and the person that comes to mind is the person you saw last, isn't it? Or saw just recently, or posted with on Facebook, because they were top of mind. So it's up to those affiliates to remain top of mind with you as well, because they want your business. So it's up to them to remain top of mind with you. And it's also important for you to realize that you need options. You know, I love the relationships I've formed over many years, and I still work with many of those that I worked many years ago. But at the same point, to Joe's point, you do need options. And you know, speaking from a lender point, let's look at a home inspector. Home inspectors are extremely busy right now. If you only have one home inspector and everybody else loves that home inspector, then you're not going to get them into the home within the time frame. So you need to love others too. And with the with the lenders, you know, when we look at the lenders, ultimately, you know, we need options. Don't assume just because any lenders that you're working with cannot get someone a loan, that there's not another lender out there with a product that meets their needs. So, you know, not all lenders offer all products. So, you know, so be very mindful of that. You need those options, and you always need second opinion.
I want to just add too, when we were first in the industry and where we were at, it was, you know, kind of just taught to us and instilled in us, you know, a new agent, you know, the first thing you want to do is find a lender so that you can build business together, because they'll refer people to you, you'll refer people to them, and that's how your business will take off. So that was kind of our mindset going into things when we were looking for networking connections, is, well, who's going to send us business, because we're going to, you know, be sending them business. And it never played out well for us.
I remember those conversations.
Oh yeah. Like my heart kind of palpitates a little still just thinking about it. And you know, and that was just like the different mindset then of just trying to get business and like make it as a realtor, just starting out, to now it's, I don't care if I never even hear a whisper of a name from the person. I just need to know that they can do their side of things so
That's
that
right.
I can stay in my lane. And you know, I can't tell you how many hours I've spent trying to find information on different loan products, because the lender just, you know, doesn't seem to be making sense, or how was this not found beforehand? And I don't like to point fingers until I have all my facts. And
That's why Kat is shadowing them to learn all of that.
well, exactly, which is a great thing, and very innovative, I think. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Because it's true. I feel like you want to give people the benefit of the doubt when they're telling you their pitch, you know, and you sit with them and, yeah, let's network, it's going to be great. But there is nothing worse than when you've been trying to stay top of mind for somebody for, you know, six months, say a year, if not more. And the person you've referred them is completely dropping the ball, and now they no longer want to work with you and don't even want to hear your name because they're so dissatisfied with their experience. And
Right.
even though it wasn't you who dropped the ball, you know, you were still that connection. And that, I hate that. It's the last thing I've ever wanted. So now it's, you know, we really take all of our bad experiences we've had so far, and I've
Right.
got my list of questions, and it's, you know, I basically interview people like, you know, do you do this? Do you charge fees for VA loans? You know, like all these little things that we've
Mhm.
like had bumps in the road for, I keep note of. Maybe it's because I'm Italian, I don't know. But I use that to, you know, at least learn from it. You know, you're gonna fall flat on your face. It happens. That's life. It's how you pick yourself up, and then use that to turn it around to learn from it in the future, so you don't do it more than once.
Right. And I
how
think
I've-
Joe was adding, yes, it's because you're Italian, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I'll add in there too is the fact that if you give somebody a referral and they do a great job, they're going to tell all their friends, I have the best lender, I have the best inspector. But if you give them a bad one, they're like, your inspector, your loan,
Your guy.
your guy. And I'm like, wait, because he's hired. When it's good, it's their guy. When it's bad, it's your guy.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's true, you know, and to your point about the referrals, you know, the folks in the industry, our business partners, the affiliates out there, unless you're buying leads with them, you know, they have less leads to give us as a practitioner. And I remember this conversation with you, Christina. You know, your goal is spot on to make sure they provide good service. And if you can get a referral from them at some point or several, you know, great. That's awesome. But they're going to have less opportunity. They are reaching out to realtors. We're their clients. So they're prospecting us. How can they possibly feed all of their realtor sphere of influence with enough business for it to feel satisfying to each of them? It's not going to happen. Yeah, you want to know that you're at least getting some if others are. But, you know, at the point of a closing attorney, you know, how much business does a closing attorney get that happens in advance of a closing? You know, they are, you know, at the tail end of the referral spectrum, right? They're getting clients because they went into contract, not clients who want to get a contract. So, you know, there are some professionals that may not be able to give you those referrals up front, but they're going to appreciate the referrals you give them. And that's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
and even too, to touch on, like, you know, if you're going in with marketing costs with someone, I know that's like something that gets thrown around a lot for new agents. And you know, maybe it's just where I started out and that was like a mindset of just that one particular brokerage. I don't know. You know, but there's nothing worse than when you do that and they are not performing to how you want that experience to come across to your mutual client. And now you're stuck in, you know, whatever agreement you might be in, if you have some type of, you know, contract for what your marketing spend is towards, or, you know, like you guys mentioned earlier too, having all your eggs in one basket, where if you have that person to refer, who are you going to refer next? And feeling like, oh, geez, like I have nobody to tell this person except for this half decent name that I know is not going to be great. So, you know, I know as like a new agent, and if you don't have like all the money in the world to be investing in yourself, because people make you feel like you need to spend a lot of money as a realtor to be successful. You know, if you're going to spend anything, just do it on your own terms. Like invest in yourself 100%. You know, just tell them to buy coffee when you sit and talk with them, and that's all you ask for. That way you don't have any
zero
obligation. Yeah.
That's great. Anyone else on anything to share on how you choose your affiliates?
I would just say one thing. It's the list is fluid. I think Joe kind of mentioned that, is that my list a year ago is not the same list I have now, because you're going to find different industry professionals at different points hungry and aggressive. Then they get so busy, now they're swamped and they're not doing a good job anymore. Especially contractors in particular, they're notorious for that. One guy a year ago is wonderful, is on point. Next minute, he's gone. Same thing with inspection companies. And also expecting referrals back. It's not going to happen very often. Like you said, Dean, they're dealing with hundreds of agents. It's tough to get something back. But it's just good to have a good book of business of referrals, like lenders in particular. You want to be able to point people in the direction they need to go to. So some person wants a VA loan, I've got one person. Someone wants to buy non-warrantable condo, well, now I know they're going to a different lender that I have. So you need to have different people for different situations.
Right. Makes sense. And you know, maybe shift the perspective. You know, when they do a really great job, send them a little something after a closing, even if it's just a basic cup of coffee, a gift card. You know, I mean, you know, it's just as important for you to remain top of mind in their minds. You know, if they do have hundreds of realtors they work with, you know, how many of them actually recognize their efforts? You know, you get to a closing, you're on to the next. You know, you may not talk with that loan officer or someone, you know, until the next time you refer them, you know. So, you know, maybe you need to be prospecting them as well and remain top of mind. The day they get that gift card in the mail, maybe the day they have a buyer that's unrepresented and they need to refer them somewhere. Joe, were you going to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say too, and for the newer agents that might be on the call that ask, you know, like, where do we get them? You know, sometimes even though we have these people on a list, we'll go to the Facebook page. And, you know, even though you know, you need a contractor, you need somebody and your guy's not, you don't want to recommend them again. So we use the Facebook page. That helps kind of feed that list too. So that's been a great resource.
Share it in the collaboration group. Absolutely. You know, I mean, it's amazing to see how much sharing is done in that group. You know, it's really, really well represented. You know, I'm also going to share just, you know, when it comes down to affiliates. So, you know, in my career, how I chose the people that I work with, and this is a true story. I chose the people I work with based on what they give back to the industry. And we've got an incredible amount of involvement here at HomeSmart with folks that are in leadership, in committees, local board levels, state board levels, you know, communities involvement, you know, and everyone knows that I'm a little involved in the industry. And I met people along the way who were also involved, being involved in committees. When you find a loan officer or a home inspector or an insurance company who is actually volunteering on a committee for the board of realtors, you know, even if it's as little as supplying water at one of the holes on a golf course during a, you know, a golf tournament, a charity golf tournament, they're involved. Sure, they might like golf too, but they're giving back because they're volunteering their time. And that was really key for me. Most of the most successful long-term relationships I had with business partners were forged in committee work. So, you know, and, you know, whatever you're involved in and whatever you're going to be involved in as new things come around, you're going to meet some incredible people, and all they're doing is giving back. If you don't appreciate the industry you're in and give back to it, then it's not going to be a long, you know, successful career. So, you know, just to add that as well for anybody who's involved, you know, keep your eyes open. Those are people who are passionate like yourself. Let's see, we had a question. What do you do to stay motivated on a daily basis? Anyone want to share?
I'll take it.
Go ahead, Pat.
I honestly,
Paul was ready to jump in. I just wanted to make sure somebody else said something.
I go to the Facebook page, honestly, every day. Everyone is always posting something. Everybody's always, you know, coming soon, or I need a contractor or a plumber. And it's just all these ideas that everybody is doing what I'm doing right now. You know, I'm not the only one. I'm not sitting here by myself, you know, twiddling my thumbs. I go on the page, I take a look at what's going on. If anybody maybe has something that one of my clients needs, and try to contact them, or if anybody needs help that I can assist with at this time. And then I move on from there, you know. But I think that's one of the great ways that I like to start my day in the morning, is to see what everybody else is up to. I guess it's like my little coffee time, you know.
That's right. And you know, it's kind of like activity breeds activity, right? You know, and you know, you see that somebody's doing something, what they're working on, you want it too. You start getting excited. I want a listing. Everybody's talking about their listing. I want a listing. Who do I need to call today? What do I need to do? And you know, I'll give this example because there's one in one of the screens here. Back when I first got in the industry, of course, you know, we didn't have Facebook or something like a computer or something, and or that we were using really well anyway. But we did have whiteboards, and I'm mentioning that because Christina has her whiteboards behind her, and you know, it's all about the visual nature of it, right? Because when you see an offer written, and you know, you have those for your team involvement. You have an offer, you see somebody else wrote an offer on the board, it's like, you want one too. Somebody wrote their listing on the board, you want one too. Well, Facebook and collaboration is that whiteboard. If they're saying, hey, I got a listing, you're saying, wait, I want one too. And I'm gonna get one just to show you that I can. And you know, and it just creates that excitement between the participants. I think it's really cool. So thank you for that. Paul.
I was just gonna say, you know, what motivates me is I'm constantly in a real estate like data stream. So I'm always either watching videos, reading books, or like you mentioned, I wake up in the morning, I've got things I've got to do. I'm already diving into whatever list, my to-do list that I have. Besides my Google Calendar, I have my to-do list, things I need to do, mail postcards, XYZ. So I'm like almost engaged out of the gate. When you do this full time, it almost envelops you and it just becomes part of you. And I love helping people, and this is the whole process to make that happen. So
Awesome.
for me, that is my motivation.
There's an expression, real estate is not a career, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
You know, because it bleeds into every facet of our lives. The key is managing it to make sure that you have balance in your life, you know, because without balance, you will lose control of every facet of your life. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would just add to that too. You know, I think one of the things, especially I tell new agents too, is you don't sell real estate. This isn't, you know, you're a realtor 24 hours a day. Whether you're a realtor. You got to have that mindset that any time of day, you're doing something like Paul was saying, like, you know, you wake up, you're busy, you keep busy. That's what keeps you motivated, is being busy. So
I would say, for me, you know, and it's an interesting question for where I'm at currently, you know, just with my life, business-wise and personally. You know, I would say what keeps me motivated is written goals. I really, I guess, overlooked the value and the power of having your goals written down. Not to come across arrogant by any means, you know, like when we started as realtors, you know, my husband and I, we had our goals. And, you know, when we hit those goals, it was always just sales. How many transactions can we do in a year? Okay, like, can we make that, you know, now how many a month? Can we make it consistent so we don't feel that like burden of ups and downs? And then once we hit that, it was kind of like, all right, let's just maintain. And then we didn't realize just how like we were just floating for a while, and just burnt out, because just focusing on, I just want to get this number of transactions. Doesn't matter, you know, how the client is, if it's a nice client, somebody, you know, toxic, whatever it might be. And it just burnt me out. And you know, now reflecting back to get myself out of that, it's just reestablishing new goals now, because I'm at a different point in my career, and making sure that I'm just always updating those too. You know, sometimes it's materialistic things, you know, I also have 2 young kids. So sometimes it's, yeah, I want to upgrade the car or upgrade the home or add another multifamily to our portfolio. You know, take the kids on vacation, you know, something like that. And it's really just outside of sales now for me. You know, where do I want to be mentally as a person? I want to be eating healthy meals, not going all day only drinking coffee, because I've been so busy with those busy tasks, but not getting anything, you know, positive done. That's really good for the business in the long run. So that's kind of been my focus and my motivation lately. And, you know, it helps. I've just really been diving back into reading. And I find it relaxing too, which is nice. So I kind of, you know, hit 2 birds with 1 stone on that. And, you know, YouTube, again, like, you know, others have mentioned, I love just putting up, you know, Tom Ferry. I always jump to him because just his energy is inspiring, where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to call this person and prospect today, and I'm going to just crush it. Gary V, I follow Gary V on Instagram. So when I am just having like a day where I'm in a slump, you know, I put one of his videos on, and he's like, you know, a little less filtered, but I like that. I relate to that. So, you know, that's just where I'm at personally in my life.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Anyone else on that?
I just wanted to add, I'm sorry, I got Joe.
Please, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Paul.
I just wanted to add one thing. So this is kind of going out to the new agents that are just starting and then maybe need motivation because they're just starting. They don't know which direction to go in. Like it's one thing to be really busy and need motivation. And it's another thing to be brand new and need motivation. When you're new, motivation is more important to keep you going to get where you need to get to. So again, watch things that are educational, that put you into the mindset of working the business, watch the videos, and never give up. And just talk to everyone you know, get a warm market sheet, call people that you know. You're just going to stay engaged and keep moving forward. You'll feel better right away. Just one step at a time, and you will get there.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was going to say it's a journey. And I think that we're at all of us are at different levels. Like sometimes your journey might be, you're at the beginning, you know, and then you have to kind of push yourself through things. My friend's mother used to say, push your feet, you know, like sometimes it's tough. You just look at your goals. I think having the goals is what motivates you. And whether you're at the beginning or, you know, enjoy each step of the journey, whether it's today, this year I got to sell 5 houses because I'm brand new. Or if I could sell 5 houses, that would be great. Or if you're at that point in your journey where like, oh, I got to keep up this, 30 houses a year or 3 closings a month to survive. It's where you're at, and use your resources around you to help establish systems to keep that going. But I think part of it is enjoying every step of the journey.
Well said.
Also too, like just having your why. I know that is thrown out a lot. Find your why. Which is like a weird phrase. I've always thought it to be a little odd, but
Yeah.
it makes sense when you get it. Like it's great to have a goal of let's sell 5 homes, but if you don't know why you're doing it, then it's just not going to click for you.
No.
Right. Well,
You're like,
and
like I could get dressed today, but why? I have
But
no
why?
idea. So it's like find
Right.
your why, and and what I'm learning too as I go along my journey, as Joe put it, is your why can change over time also.
Yes.
So it's okay to always be reevaluating that, and always taking a minute to reflect on what you have accomplished too, and make sure you appreciate that, because if you're always just like it's never good enough, then again you'll just get burnt out.
Right. Well, and if I may, I want to expand on what that means, like find your why. That's not as simple as just saying, hey, why do you sell real estate? Or, because I love it and I love people and what have you. It's about what does that mean to me? So if you wanted to close 5 transactions in the next 90 days, the question is, what would closing 5 transactions mean to you? That could mean, based on the amount of money you earn, you take your entire family to Disney World because you've calculated what your average commission is, and what are those brokerage fees, and what do they range in, and what do they amount to? And if I sold 5 homes in the next 90 days, I would earn enough in brokerage fees in order to do this. That becomes the goal. It becomes the why. It's not this inner peace why. It's what does it mean? And and if at 90 days you weren't able to take that trip, you'd be disappointed, but you'd set a new goal for when you are going to. The key is not falling under the covers and hiding out just because you didn't reach a goal. The only problem with not reaching a goal is not resetting it and going after it again, or shifting it as you go. So, that's, I think, just to expand on what a why is, have it equate to something. It needs to be quantified. So we have one final question that came in from our viewers, and I'm going to ask everyone to share a response on this. That question is, what one piece of advice do you have for someone who is trying to build their real estate career? What one piece of advice can you give them that you either learned or heard in your journey? Who'd like to begin?
I'll start if that's okay.
Please.
I would say find your niche. Be a master of a few things, not a jack of all trades. It's okay if you're not doing everything that everyone says you should be doing when you're, in pursuit of knowledge of what real estate should look like for you and what that job aspect of it looks like. Just focus on a few things and dedicate yourself to that, and then you can always expand from there.
Awesome. Thank you. Kat.
I think my biggest point would be to prepare. Like, never go on stage without knowing your routine. Just make sure that you have familiarized yourself with everything, all the different aspects that revolve around a transaction, because you never want to get stuck in a situation where you have absolutely no clue what's happening. And take that from personal experience.
That's right.
But definitely prepare every second that you can before you go out there.
Awesome. Thank you. Joe.
I would say be professional all the time. Actually, expanding on what Kat said, no matter if you're going to do a CMA for your cousin or from somebody you never met, you should always show up with a prepared presentation, and it's somebody's largest transaction of their life. And if you're not professional all the time, nobody's going to want to do business with you. You can't be like that fun guy. Oh, you might be that type of personality, but you still have to remain professional all the time and follow up with everyone, no matter, the Pretty Women, was that movie with Richard Gere, like that, Pretty Woman, yeah.
Pretty Woman, yep.
You never know who's, this person might be a $200,000 house today, but their father might own a $500,000 house. And if you're professional with the son, he's going to recommend you to the father. And, and then that father's going to recommend it to his friends. Like,
right.
You never know where business is coming from, and you treat everybody the same and follow up with everybody.
Right. And just because you met them at a pool party doesn't mean you show up in a bathing suit when you go to their house.
Exactly.
So, even if it's a family member, even if it's a close friend, you don't need to wear a suit and tie. If you don't wear a suit and tie every day, don't wear one to a closing, don't wear one to a listing interview. Be yourself, but always be professional in presenting yourself. Absolutely. Great point. Paul.
So my piece of advice would be very simple. To me, it's very clear. You have to just treat this not as a job, but as a business. And you want to be constantly educating yourself. And then the more you know, the better you can serve your clients. So if you do a great job serving your clients, you make them feel good about the transaction, you're there for them, you walk them through, and when they come out the other end, they're going to be like, thank God I met this person. He or she helped me through the whole process. They will appreciate you greatly. They'll refer you. So just be there for them and just keep on top of everything, and you'll do great.
Awesome.
So that's it.
Great. Well said. Guys, I can't thank you enough. It's been incredible. Appreciate you guys sharing with each other as well as those that are tuning in. And there are many that weren't able to make it that will be watching, the video afterwards. So we'll have that recording available for everyone. So thank you so much. Congrats again on your success. We weren't able to have our annual awards gala this year to celebrate your success. So we saw this as one opportunity to help reinforce your achievements, and we appreciate you sharing. So thank you so much to each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will see you all very soon. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.